Cancer, so while everything is so difficult and challenging out there at the moment for everybody, there is an unusual feeling that somehow the universe seems to be pulling some strings for you, or is on your side to make sure that you stay bright, optimistic, and ready to keep going with those big dreams or big plans that you've had. It's like the universe, secretly or maybe even not so secretly, wants you to succeed despite whatever obstacles are out there and in everybody's way. And I think you're going to still feel that through this month, that feeling of, I've come through so much and I feel that there's a guiding hand kind of helping me along here a little bit. So maybe I could go a little bit further, but perhaps in a totally new, more creative and more expressive direction. So why is all of that happening? Why are the lucky hands of the gods coming down and maybe supporting you? Well, let's get to it, my love. Let's do what we always do. We'll shuffle the cards. We'll wait on all the right ones to come out for you, my love. And in the meantime, let's talk about these energies. So it's been a while since we've spoken, I know that, but obviously there's been a lot of changes going on, a lot of tough stuff going on out there. And yet, just as I said in the intro, you seem to be one of the little cosmic babies, the one that the universe seems to be given some extra little special care or attention to. Maybe you might find a little bit, particularly at the start of the month, of, you know, if things can go one way or another, if there's a potential for some little lucky thing to happen, then it might go the way you'd hoped. Now, do I mean you'll win the lottery? Do I mean that, I don't know, you'll be an overnight success with something? Probably, maybe not as big as that. I'm not ruling it out though. But just little small, little things happening that make you feel like you're not alone and somehow the cosmos is on your side. Like a client that gives you back money. Venus is retrograding this month. So is Jupiter and Saturn. But the feeling like just little lucky things, ping, 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 ping. It may not be a lot, but as I was saying, it's enough to keep you on course. It's enough to keep you going in the right direction. It's enough to make you feel that there's a celestial hand reaching out and giving you something valuable. It could even be coin with Venus retrograding this month. She's going to be retrograding from May 13th onwards in your 12th house though. So there could be this other stuff that's going on, but we'll get to that in a moment. So there are lucky opportunities. These are two really nice cards to be opening with, by the way, Cancer. Lucky new directions that make you happier. So you don't feel so alone. Now everybody is in lockdown, isolation. I'm recording these, say, at the start to mid of April. And I know there's no evidence of it right now where I'm sitting here, but I just get a feeling there, for many people, potentially, there's a feeling like some of the restrictions, some of them perhaps might be lifted in May and things might get a little bit easier for a few people. And I'm telling you that because I feel that with you too. Like there's a lucky opportunity, a lucky break, a lucky chance for something to work your way. You've put a lot of hard work and effort into something and now it's reward time. And even if it's like a personal thing, like between you and spirit, like I did the right thing. I handled this in a very fair and noble way. I've been a good, decent, honorable person. I've really given it 100%. And now there's the feeling of, again, the cosmos saying, yeah, you did, Cancer, you did. So there's going to be some reward for that, or some blessing and some, you know, acknowledgement, like a tip of the cap from the cosmos to tell you that you've handled something really beautifully. You've handled it right, and keep on, keep doing it. Now, the energy does slowly over the course of the month start moving into Gemini. As your moon, your ruler, hops out there, it does start running into Gemini, and this is your 12th house. Very mysterious house. You know, as I began talking about it, the moon was showing there. It's a mysterious house. It's an unusual house. Some people say it's the house where there's a lot of dreams and imagination. But many other people might say the 12th house is the things that we say are dreams or the things we say are illusions because we don't believe that the impossible sometimes can be possible. 12th house is very often, as I said, where we kind of put things in. I don't believe that. That's not possible. That's kind of airy-fairy. And yet a lot of it actually is real. It's just our limitations that turn it into kind of, wishful thinking. But you're moving into this, a lot of energy moving into this dream place, wishful thinking place, imaginative place, spiritual place, a limitless place. The sun is going to be going in there on May 20th. Mercury is going in there on May 11th. Venus retrograding in there this month. There's the new moon on May 22nd in there. And the north node of destiny is shifting out of your sign, out of Cancer, and into this 12th house, into Gemini. So you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it strongly, Cancer. Over the longest while, you've been trying to redefine yourself and also redefine who you are when you're relating to other people. How do other people see me? How do I see myself? How can I work it that I'm giving an authentic version of myself that other people also appreciate? So there was a lot of balancing about what you want to do in your life and finding ways to make other people balance out that kind of vibe. But that's shifting. It's shifting. There have been lessons learned there, Cancer. The more you've been healing yourself, the more you've been focusing on yourself, the more that you've been, emerging as a new person. Perhaps for many of you, the more your relationships have been healed, and vice versa. The more your relationships have been healed, the more you've been healed. So that's been going on. But now we're dipping all of that into this 12th house. A feeling of, let it all go. Let it all go. I keep hearing this thing, Cancer. The thing that I've been working so hard for, and I felt the universe or spirit or God or my guides or whoever, I felt that I was being pushed towards working so very hard on something. And now it seems the last piece of the puzzle is that I let it go. That I release it, that I know I will have done what I came to do when I'm not so afraid to just release it and let it go and let it just fly like a balloon in the sky. Now, I know that might sound a bit vague and weird, but that's the energy. It's like I had given this relationship perhaps or something else 1,000%. And now I've just got to kind of let it go off and do its own thing. Not to be holding on to it and not letting it go, but let it free and not care or worry so much about it. And it's not the same thing as getting rid of it, because you could interpret all the energy moving into the 12th house as get rid of everything. You could, but it's more like kind of let it go and let it do its own thing. Don't have control over something and watch how it blooms and grows and watch how you're free of the burden of it. If it again, sorry to double back, but if it was a relationship, all the lessons you've learned about how to be more chill, more relaxed, how to be able to express yourself better in relationships, how to be able to maybe pull away from very negative relationships, how to know your worth within a relationship, and how to know your worth outside of a relationship that could have been toxic, okay? So all that's been going on. Now it's like, you've done the work, let it go. Don't let that be an issue anymore. And by letting it go, it's no longer stuck like on repeat on the karmic loop. Just let it go. And you know that kind of feeling sometimes when you kind of leave something alone, it heals itself, or it gets on and does its own thing, and you don't have to be bothered by it. But sometimes when we're obsessing over something, it never gets healed. You know, as they say, a wound won't be healed if you keep picking at it. It's the same thing. Just let it go. You've done what you came to do. You've learned what you came to learn. So, like, if you have broken up with an old toxic relationship, let it go. You've done it. But if you have learned how to be a renewed person when it comes to relationships, celebrate that, then cast it off and say, next, So that's a really nice energy. Now, other things that are happening here, I feel a lot of you are focusing on, with Venus retrograding this month, turning your passions into your paychecks and pensions. There's a feeling here of, I'm no longer going to neglect that one thing that really gives me real life, but on the inside. When I do this thing, I can just sit back and get lost in this for days. And realizing that one passion you have for something could now become how you make your next paycheck and how you have your pension. Passion into paycheck and pension. That is something that's on your mind, and delving so deep into that. I also get this huge vibe with you, 12th house vibe. It's very trippy, but it's like, like Sister Sledge, we're lost in music. It's a feeling of, let's get lost in my passions. Some of you now returning again to that one thing you used to get lost in. It could be anything: music, dance, writing, journaling, poetry, gardening, coding, programming, studying something that it's like it lights you up from the inside. It really gives you everything. Something burns like a cozy fire inside of you when you do this thing that you hadn't done, perhaps with such intensity as you could have been doing. You haven't been doing it in a long while because life has become very real. Over the last period, for everybody, not just you, Cancer, but life became very real. Like everything was too focused, too real. Everything was in like super HD, and you're like, can you just tone it down a bit? Too real. And I'm just going to a quote that artist Henry Moore said. He said, art is the expression of imagination and not the reproduction of reality. And this is where I think you're leading us. I think you're doing some great work here, Cancer. The feeling of what's changing, the leaf turning over, a new chapter in your book. It's things have been far too raw, real, sharp, over-analytic, trying to over-analyze people's emotions, trying to over-analyze what other people need, trying to over-analyze the human experience, like it's an over-analysis, and all the beauty probably has been lost in that. So Venus, the goddess of love and beauty and pleasure and softness, she's the filter queen. She's the one who puts the gauze over everything and says, just let's see the beauty in this. In that 12th house, it's like, let's just dive deep into the beauty of relationships now, into the beauty of the work that I do, into the beauty of what I love to do. People aren't just walking, talking, political voices, ideological voices. They aren't humans who just work in that job or who can't work, unfortunately, perhaps at the moment in that job. There's so much more to the human experience. And as a pioneer, because you are a cardinal sign, Cancer, I feel as a pioneer, it's like, I've got to be the dreamer. I've got to be the one who goes deep here and rediscovers the softness of life, the real purpose of life, the spiritual side of life. For those of you who have a particular faith or real spiritual value on some ideology, there's a feeling of, I have to pour that on my life now, on my relationships now. I have to infuse that into everything I do, because without it, it's not beautiful. And also the other thing, neither is it real. Just because something is in sharp, super focus and we can analyze the detail of everything, That's not a real human experience, because you're neglecting interpretation, you're neglecting emotion, you're neglecting the art, you're neglecting a feeling that goes along with that. And you, who's ruled by the moon, realizes that feelings wax and wane, they come and go. So there's always a different shade, a different color, a different experience to be had. That's the truth of life. We can't reduce it to digits, numbers, analysis, the cold, hard facts of life. We can't do that, because it's denying the reality, which is there is more love, beauty, spirituality, soul, depth, passion, poetry, drama, theatre, and romance in this world. It's always been what's been driving the human experience. And when we don't have it, we come to a grinding halt, because it's the dreams and the passions and the infusion of spirit, love, creativity, and poetry that puts the oil on the wheels that makes it turn. And the big change, and I know we're kind of going into something bigger and esoteric perhaps here, but this is where you're shifting. You're shifting in now to a new phase in your life where it's like, I demand that type of expression in my life. Mercury moving in there, saying it's time for me to speak more fluidly and more openly, and to show that there's colour and a whole spectrum, a whole range of mood in my life. It's not just the cold, hard. We can't reduce life, as I said, to the facts. And again, what Henry Moore said, include art, because art is the expression of imagination and not just the reproduction of cold, hard reality. So this is your new destiny, the North Node of destiny moving in there, the new moon in there, Venus, the goddess of love, saying, come on, Cancer, you've a job to do, you've a task to do. Don't feel that this is airy, fairy pie in the sky, because remember what I said, some people think of this stuff, they throw it into the 12th house and say, oh, 12th house, the house of imagination and illusion. No, they're just the ones who don't see that this is also a reality in our lives. The dreams are a reality. The things that we don't necessarily want to believe to be true, the things that science or something else or people tells us don't make the world go round, when you actually, heart and soul, know that they do. You know, I can't scientifically prove that spirit makes the wheels of life go round, but I know it's true. So I'm not just going to consign that to the realm of imagination. I'm going to include all of this now in my life, in my work, in how I'm living my day to day, in how I'm infusing it into my relationships, my friendships, my passions, my skills, my talents, my destiny. And not just your destiny, because you've learned how to heal and repair yourself with the North Node having been in Cancer. And because you're both a pioneer and a very selfless sign, there's a feeling of, no, let's heal something here. And we begin healing it by infusing it with a little bit more depth. So that's a big change, you know. So we've a few things going on there, and that was the biggest energy. Now we've been talking for some while. You said we've been talking, you've been doing all the talking. Okay, I know. But we've got so many changes. As you now know, we're in very, very unusual and groundbreaking times. So it's nice to know where the universe is directing us so that we're able to quickly manifest our destiny. We know the tools and the skills that we've already got in our little bag of tricks to warm something up in our lives that creates that spark, that creates that fire and pours love into whatever we're doing. So for you, it's all that 12th house stuff. So let me get 3 more cards. Yeah, I see for some of you the sun going in there, shining a big light in the 12th house too. Maybe again, that thing, some of you being able to realize that you can make money from your imagination and not to see that as a silly thing. Like somebody might say to you, go and get a real job. And you're like, sorry, bitch, stop. This is a real job. Me writing, doing poetry, writing music, or infusing the work I do with such a huge level of limitless expression. That is a real job. So go and take a hike, you know. So there's that feeling of that. And also for some of you, again, it's like lucky money. Or money coming from a place that you absolutely weren't expecting. It's like, I didn't ask for that money. I didn't even realize that was coming to me. I didn't know maybe I was going to get tax back. I didn't know that I was going to get some sort of rebate or a claim or an insurance thing. I didn't know any of this was due to come back to me. But perhaps it is. Perhaps it is. Now, there's a lot more going on, and because the intro was so long, we'll probably cover most of that in the VIMEO readings, the deep read. I'm just waiting on one last card, and there it is, the Gemini card, the Lovers, where you realize that it's time to not just love your partner, because you've already experienced that, or learn how to love yourself enough so you find a good partner. You've done all that. Now it's all about reconnecting with the missing parts of yourself, the missing elements of your soul, the places where you saw there were gaps in your life, where everything, as I said, became too hard, cold, dry, and uninspiring. It's time to reunite. It's time to bring out the big guns, Cancer, the big imagination, the big feeling, the big emotion, and just drench yourself in it and allow that to be your next big adventure. So, my love, speaking of adventures, let's go over to your latest May adventure, over to your big grand, ta-da, your overview. Now, I did tell you that it's almost like lucky coin or a lucky break or a lucky chance coming your way. Something unusual coming your way. I wasn't expecting this. I had hoped for this, but I wasn't expecting this. And this answers or helps me in some way. It answers some difficulties. It answers a bit of a problem. This is Mars going into Pisces. Now, Mars does go into Pisces on May 13th into your 9th house. Now, again, some other signs are also getting this, but for many of you, you could find that you're getting money back because of some travel plans that had to be cancelled. Maybe you have some sort of business insurance where something to do with business, foreign trade, or foreign interests, like some foreign thing. There's a feeling of, oh, I'm glad that's over. That got handled, that got dealt with. There was a bit of good luck in this. Maybe money coming back again, like I said, because some either travel or educational thing you were doing got handled. I even see for some of you handling business with extended family members, either your own or maybe your partner's, maybe seeing how you might be able to help them out financially, or vice versa. Something going on there anyway with kind of family. But again, there's the feeling of, look at that, the lucky coin handed to you. This is like, and I am an Irish person, so I'm telling you at the end of that rainbow is a pot of gold. It is, it's like that lucky thing. Just a lucky thing. I wasn't expecting something as positive as this to happen. And again, it may not be a huge thing, but for me, it's more a feeling of, that's evidence that I'm moving in the right direction. That's evidence that I'm on the right course. It's evidence that the cosmos is kind of spoiling me a little bit here, or taking care of me as I'm trying to maybe move forward with some big decisions or new plans that I have to implement regarding my coin or my work. You know, it helps. So something is definitely helping. Now, there are decisions to be made, and they could all be coming up around the time of the full moon in Scorpio, happening on May 7th in your 5th house. It's like it's a time to redirect your creativity. I have to change this up. I have to redirect my creativity, but not just that, it's like get more passionate, get more infused, get more creative, get more involved, mind, body, and soul. And run with that. It's like, out of all the unsteadiness and uncertainty that's going on at the moment, Cancer, it could have brought you home to doing the things you're passionate for again. And then you saying, no, why don't I do more of this? And having to sit down to make a decision saying, could I work from home? Could I do this from home? Now, a lot of the other signs are actually getting that. There are a few common threads with everybody this month, understandably, because everybody's going through a similar experience at the moment. But for you, it's like, couldn't I stay at home or work from home? Couldn't I really analyze how I feel about this? There is a decision, and it's like a big, deep decision. And if you see what this person is doing here, they're sitting down calmly, they're weighing it up, but they've a blindfold on. In other words, what they're going to do is they're going to be fair. They're going to take their feelings into account, plus the logical part of things into account. So that's what real balance is. It's like, I'm not just thinking, oh, I have an idea, blah, 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 and I'm just going to do it because cold, hard facts tell me this is the way to go. No, you're taking lots and lots. It's like you're opening up. The sea behind her here is like rolling in and saying, before you make your decision, take your feelings, the water, take your feelings into account. See the moon up there behind? We've the new moon in the 12th house. Take some deep, deep feelings into account. For me, Cancer, it's like an overwhelming energy. Like in some ways, some of you are, not in every way, because I know we're all living in uncertain times at the moment, but in some way you're seeing what's going on at the moment as a kind of a blessing. Even if you don't kind of openly admit that, there's a feeling of this kind of lockdown has been maybe even a secret blessing for me, because it has absolutely reconnected me with this ocean of feeling that I just walked away from. Look, there's me on the promenade, on the shore, walking up and down and forgetting that I'm a sea creature, forgetting that at some point I'm going to have to dive back into that water and realize I'm at home in that element. You know, like the Little Mermaid, when she left the ocean, she walked on land, but it hurt. It was so hard. In the original story, it was like walking on knives. It was so hard and sharp because it was too rigid. And this seems to be the journey that's changing for you. She suddenly comes off that hard grounding and makes a wise decision to maybe dip back into the emotions again. And I just feel like a real flow. And I even hear the thing is, well, life, look, sorry, she-bear, life doesn't work like that. I would love to be dipping into my emotions and painting all day, or writing music all day, or strumming my guitar all day. Yeah, I'd love to be doing that, but come on, reality, I've bills to pay. Now, if you find yourself saying that, then you're more than anybody in need of this energy shift that's happening this month. Because it is that unfolding. It's like, Cancer, how did you get like that? It doesn't suit you. It doesn't suit you to be just jumping through hoops of fire day in, day out, and repeating cycles over and over again, day in, day out, and none of it feeling like it's natural to you. And then you feeling like the proverbial fish out of water, or the mermaid or merman out of water. The world can't be just lopsided and be so Saturnian and Capricornian. And we're learning that now. It can't be that concrete reality. It only works when it's got you. It only works when you are, as I said, oiling the wheels and bringing your imagination and your passion and your feeling. And allowing things to be not understood sometimes. Sometimes we don't have to understand everything. Sometimes we just have to swim and say, I don't know where we're going, but I bet we're going to be glad that we just went along with something and enjoyed it. So again, very, very strong feelings there. Now, mid-month, around the time of the full moon, May 7th or so on, I feel something happening here. This is a feeling of you really, really feeling like having a real moment, like a real outburst, having to face someone or something and give them the two big celestial middle fingers. It's like I've been biting my tongue for so long. I've been hiding for too long. I've been kind of hiding in my shell for too long. I've been saying nothing for too long. I've been going along with this for too long. And I've been building. I've outgrown something. You know, like some of those crabs. Is it the hermit crab who outgrows its shell and then moves on and finds a new shell? This is what it feels like for you, Cancer. It's like a real breakthrough month of, I've grown too big for this now. I've grown through too big to put up with this relationship. I've grown too big to put up with this bullshit that keeps going round and round in my life. I've grown too big to accept that life is only like this. Come on, who are you kidding? There's more to life than this. I'm grown too big to be limited. 12th house, where all the energy is moving into, and Gemini energy, which is like full expression of your limitless efforts, your limitless possibilities. And there's a feeling of nothing's going to hold me back. And if anybody does try to hold me back, there's just this incredible feeling of, but you don't get it. But you're not getting it. You can't hold me back anymore. Even if I wanted to stay in this shitty situation, working in that shitty situation, being with that shitty person or that thing that's going on, even if I wanted to pretend I was okay with it, I can't. I can't do it anymore. It's like, as a kid, you grow out of a pair of shoes, you grow out of a coat or a jacket. As much as you want to fit into something that you used to love as a kid, you're not going to. You've grown. And it's time to move on, limitlessly, but with a great sense of passion. I feel some of you digging up something like a dream that died. Digging up the dream that died. And brushing it down and holding it in your hands and saying, apologizing, saying, I'm so sorry. I was fooled by the world to believe that you weren't important. I was fooled by the world to believe that this dream was going to go nowhere. I was fooled by the world to believe that I was supposed to be something when I'm actually something else. And I buried this dream in order to succeed in the hard world, in order to succeed in the corporate world, in order to succeed and get ahead and get promotions and get recognized and get seen and build something up and get to the top of my career. I had to sacrifice something that I used to treasure in order to get moving in the cold, hard world. But I'm digging up that old dream because that is what belongs to me. I belong to it and it belongs to me, and now I'm going to share it. With all the energy going into the 12th house, there's a feeling of losing who you used to be in order to gain something more limitless. It's very profound. And you're saying, I almost regret coming to this reading now. I just wanted to know if I have enough money to pay the bills after all this shit lockdown and everything. Well, I did say there's a bit of luck in your direction, but I just want you to be more focused on tuning in to kind of a new vibration in you that's more your vibe, because This is where you're going to be getting the next level of your success. This is where you're going to be at the next chapter of your life. This is where you're getting your next journey. This is where you're pointing your face towards and moving in the right direction. So it's all worth it. Anyway, so as I said, you've outgrown something and you're definitely ready to move on. Because there's a feeling of, I've achieved a level of success in some area of my life, but it feels empty. It feels like, yes, I've gotten the promotion. Yes, I've done all right for myself. Yes, I've gotten married and I have the nice house, the beautiful children, the happy home, a beautiful partner. Or yes, I've managed to transition from having all that and I'm now standing on my own 2 feet. There's a feeling of, I've overcome something huge in my life and I've had a level of success. And now what? I've achieved it and now I'm feeling a little bit empty. Now I'm feeling like, shouldn't this have fixed my broken heart? And yet it didn't. And again, Cancer, I think this is the reason why the reading is going the way it's going. Like it's almost focusing entirely on this 12th house energy. It's because these very strong feelings are going to be coming up in you. Psychic stuff coming out, old stuff coming out. Remembering years ago, maybe when you were a teenager, where you used to have all that angst, stay in your bedroom and listen to that favourite band. Do you remember you used to do that? And you used to just get lost in the music and kind of get a bit emo or so whatever you did as a teenager, like every teenager does. But there's a feeling like that might happen again this month. Allow it. This is not something to be discouraged because it's in that reconnection with that very, very deep and long vibrational psychic and psychological thread that it's like the tension on that string will create even deeper and more profound music in your life. Okay, not to get it too deep, but you will, it seems, arrive at a point where you recognize that you've had a success and now what now? And there could be that moment of, was I mad? Was I mad not to keep going with that? Should I have stayed in that relationship? Should I have stayed with that group of friends? Should I have stayed in that job? Should I? Was I mad to strike for my destiny when every part of my being told me it was the right thing to do? And here I am at a loss. My love, this is just the cleansing period. Consider it like between a meal you get a sorbet just to wipe down the palate before the main course is served. This is that moment, and get into it. Get into it. Now you don't have to get all dark and heavy and kind of all sad or anything like that, unless that's something that helps your creativity. Some people love that, but use the energy, use it. Tune into it. And what it seems to do, it's like it strikes a healing chord in your heart. Forgiveness comes, letting go of stuff comes, a feeling of shedding things comes, and a feeling of dissolving so that you can be okay, cleaned and healed to go into your next part of your journey. Now things start to get a bit more practical, it seems, as the month starts to come to a close. You're really asking the big questions about money. And some of you are thinking of borrowing and lending. Some of you are getting very practical with your spending. Some of you are making a real decision to get your financial, because you remember, this is the first card. You recognize if you handle a gift perhaps that you have very wisely, very shrewdly, and very financially kind of savvy, that you can cut your cloth to meet your measure and begin a new journey of investing in some new part of your passions that, as I said, could become your next paycheck and pension. Passion becomes your next paycheck and pension, but it takes time. But it seems to begin at like some great spark at the end of the month. And you're moving slowly with it, steadily with it, but realizing that by the time all of this ends, the harvest you will have will be bigger than you've ever known before. This is that one strange moment, Cancer, where it looks like everything is lost. But it's exactly the moment where everything is just beginning for you. So being very shrewd with your finances, maybe even getting a little plan together to see if you can put your passion out there, to see if it can start making slowly some coin, testing the waters. It's a wonderful concept, a wonderful idea. And you won't get it right at the start. You definitely won't. And there'll be trials, there'll be tests. How can I manage this? Wrecking your head, saying, this won't work, this will work, this won't work, this will work. You know, I'm working very, very hard to fine tune and maintain a level of balance here until you figure out how you can turn your passions into your next paycheck and pension. And how you can put a system onto it, how you can manage it. I'm not going to lie here, Cancer. It's going to be a lot of hard work, and it's going to feel like an impossible task, and it's going to frustrate you no end. But it's definitely worth doing, because beside that, you've the Lovers. It's like, this is more important to me now. It's important that I follow my passion. It's important that I follow the thing that I love, even if it means that it's going to be really hard work to implement it, or to turn it maybe into a business. The emperor is the one who sits on the throne like the boss. He manages things. He manages business. He manages money. He manages every decision. But in a state of chaos here, he's like running around like a headless chicken and shouting orders at everybody because he's out of control. And that's sometimes that's how it begins. So don't get afraid of it when it begins like that, because that frustration and that kind of feeling of, I'm going to tear my hair out until I can figure out how to turn this passion into my next paycheck and pension, and it's going to drive me nuts. Let it, because it seems there is a lot of passion. Mars starting off in the 8th house, but then he travels into the 9th house, where you do get a bigger picture after the frustration and say, I know what I'm supposed to do now. I've learned now what I need to do with this. So, my love, I'm going to leave it at that. It's a lot of a big change going on for you, particularly because the North Node of Destiny is shifting out of your sign and into this very mysterious and passionate and deep 12th house. I really think you're going to enjoy it. There will be frustrations, Cancer. I trust you, really trust you to be able to handle that, because, as I said, you've been shown right at the start that the universe is right by your side. It would never let you walk through such strange territory without being with you. That's the way it is, you know, and that's the way it always has been and always will be. So, again, my love, you're guided, you're protected in all of what's going on this month, and we'll leave it at that. Now, my love, you know, of course, these are just the general energies, and we did specifically only focus, I think, on one aspect of the energies, but to get into the details of everything, into the details of relationships. For the singles, is there love magic in the air where there's a full moon in the 5th house of attraction and fascination and sexual attraction? We'll see. Money and career. We'll focus on home, family and friends, and everything that we really didn't cover in the general reading here on YouTube. We'll go deep in the deep read on Vimeo. You know how to get to it by now, my love. Open the description box. There's a link there. Click into it. Come on over and we'll really go into this and see if we can get more practical stuff in this very 12th house mysterious energy. So I'll see you over there, my love. But if we are going to leave it at that, my gorgeous, enjoy this new experience, this new profound experience. I really think you're going to like it. And as always, my beautiful, I'm going to leave you with all my love and a great big kiss. Mwah, from me to you. Until next month, my beauty. Bye.